What's going on, everybody? I'm John J. II, and this is In Promotions. Today we have a special treat for you. We have Nathan Shaw of the Shot Clock Pod in the building. Nathan, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on.
Always. So, yeah, I know you have a podcast. I know you put a lot of content out on Instagram. There's his handle right there on the screen for you guys that are watching live or watching afterwards. We're doing a little live stream / podcast today, so everybody that's watching can watch and everybody that's listening can listen later on. But yeah, Nathan, tell me a little bit about your podcast and tell me a little bit about what gave you your passion to start it up.
Yeah, basically, so I started, it's almost been a year, which is crazy how long I've been doing this for. But I started April 2nd. We were in quarantine, everything was kind of like crappy then, everyone was kind of unsure what was happening. Everyone was like, I'm sure you guys during quarantine were kind of confused as well as like, what the heck's going on? What are we going to do next? So you got to find, and I'm like, I've always wanted to be a content creator. I was in class for a CHS today, which is our school broadcast program. And I was sitting there one day and I was like, I need something to do outside of school. So then we hit quarantine. I'm having dreams of doing this podcast, interviewing people. Like, I'm not even kidding when I say that. Like, I was like having dreams of like sitting there at a little desk doing these interviews with the mic in front of me. And here I am, like 2 months later, I interview Trey Moses, which is a Ball State Cardinal ex-player, and then plays overseas for, I believe he plays for Portugal now. But I do this interview, and that kind of was really what fueled me, was like doing all those interviews. And then it kind of like, it's like a weird addiction, like over break. I just had spring break for school this last week, and my girlfriend, I went on vacation with her and her family, and she was getting mad at me because I was on my phone so much. But it's like a weird addiction to like message all these people and be like, hey, can I interview you on my podcast? I'm a 16-year-old podcaster. Love to talk to you sometime. Like, send them this easy to understand message. And like, it's just crazy how addicting it is.
Oh, I completely agree. And it's similar, I guess, to what we did coming to you to have you on our show. And it's really cool. It's really, I can definitely resonate with that as far as having that addiction type mentality towards it, because once you have one person on your show, you want to have 50 people on your show. It's just like, it's super cool. So good for you, man. Tony, you got any questions for Nathan?
So first things first. Okay. Already big tech is already messing with this live stream, and Dan Dockich, that scumbag's already trying to kick me off, but I'm back. Okay. I'm back and I'm rearing. Okay. So Nathan, couple questions for you off the rip. Okay. I think you already answered one that I had for you. I was going to ask you how old you are, and you said 16, correct?
Yeah, 16 years old. I turned 17 in June.
So listen, guys, everyone who's watching this, I mean, this kid is fantastic at what he does, and he just got his driver's license, for goodness sake. So he's probably been driving around listening to that driver's license song by that Olivia girl. It makes you cry your eyes out, okay? So second question I have, Nathan, is where are you from?
I'm from Indiana, I'm in a really small town of Indiana, Connersville. I don't know. Have you guys ever been to Indiana before?
Unfortunately, I've been through Indiana once, and I'll never do it again.
Unfortunately, is it bad? Unfortunately is a very good statement. Like, Indiana sucks.
There's just not much. What do you guys do in Indiana? Like, okay, it's a nice, beautiful Saturday, you and your girl and maybe a pup, maybe got a little dog with you, and you guys want to go do something. What the heck do you do in Indiana?
Well, today, which is funny that you brought that up, because today we went, she was just in here a second ago, and today we went to Dairy Twist, which is a new ice cream place that opened up for the first time since COVID. And she works there, so we got some stuff for free,
Okay.
An inside scoop. And we
no
get
pun
there.
Intended there.
Do what?
I said no pun intended. You said you have the inside scoop.
No pun intended. So you have to, but we show up there, and it's like really, what else is there to do besides get ice cream? I mean, I'm getting fat at this point, just sitting there eating ice cream and doing nothing besides going to Dairy Queen, Dairy Twist, and then a wing spot that opened up.
So in your spare time, when you guys, want to go have a night out on the town, it's either the Dairy Queen or Dairy Twist is what you're telling me.
Yeah, Dairy Queen or Dairy Twist, or a Mexican restaurant if I'm feeling like spending a good $20.
I can't imagine what Mexican food is like in Indiana. I can't imagine the authenticity of the Mexican food in Indiana. I can't imagine it's top tier. Nathan. I can't imagine.
I will say it might be top tier. Like out of
Whoa.
any Mexican place I've had, like I go to Florida, terrible. I get tacos in Florida, or I get quesadilla or a chimichanga, terrible. I go to Connersville and get some food from Mexican. Best chimichangas I've ever had.
So maybe, John, maybe Indiana is the sleeper state for Mexican. I don't know if I buy it. I don't
think it's just. I think it's Connersville, Indiana is the sleeper.
It's got to be, everything in Indiana has got to be light years better than Ohio. That's all I'm going to say. And if we got good Mexican food in Michigan, I mean, Indiana's closer to the border than Michigan is. So they got to have something better than us. Yeah, we're from Michigan. Yeah, mid-Michigan. Yeah, we're from Flushing originally. And I live in East Lansing. Tony lives in Flushing still. But yeah.
Okay, so I was born in Mount Clemens, Michigan, actually.
Okay.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You were? You guys?
I was born in Dallas, Texas, but at least listen, Nathan has some Michigan roots, John. Listen, this guy's a Michigander.
Hey, it's amazing.
Come on now. So Nathan, so you started this podcast. It's quarantine. You know, you're miserable. You know, I mean, you can only do so much as a. Maybe at the time, I don't know if you were 16 or 15, how old you were when the whole thing went. Maybe you were 16.
I was 15 then, so.
You were 15. So you were 15. I can't imagine what I would have been doing at 15 during quarantine. You know, maybe slipping into the old grandparents' liquor cabinet, taking a few rippers, off what they had there. But anyways, so you start this podcast, okay? So you start all this, with what you got going on. And again, John and I have been extremely impressed with what you've done. That's why we wanted to reach out to you. I guess so. You have a lot of people that you interview. Who has been the favorite person that you have interviewed up to this point in the young, brief history of the Shot Clock podcast?
This is gonna be like I've had 31 episodes, or 31, yeah, and I've had about 29 guests out of those 30, or no, 28 guests out of those 31. So only 3 episodes weren't guests, and I've met a lot of people through that. But I gotta say, my favorite is probably DJ Shauna. I don't know if you guys knew who that is, Milwaukee Bucks DJ.
Yeah.
So yeah, I interviewed her, and she, first woman I've ever had on my podcast, only LGBTQ plus member I've had on my podcast, which I thought was really interesting. And it was we talked a lot about the voting process, which I'm not a political guy at all. Like I've never known anything about politics. And I was like, I've seen her posting like a lot of the Go Vote on her Instagram. I was like, I really feel like this is something I need to talk about because it came out like 2 days before the election. And so I interviewed her about that a little bit, interviewed her about the LGBTQ plus community, interviewed her about DJing. And what I loved about it was it wasn't just a normal episode of talking about basketball, talking about her job. It was more about talking about her as a person, what she does as a person, and and more just like kind of finding everything about her. And it was really, it was about like a 40-minute episode, 30 minutes. It was really good. I enjoyed talking to her.
That's awesome, man. That's huge. And that's what John and I, so again, obviously we're huge sports fans. We're fanatics, we're big Michigan State guys. If you're a Hoosier fan, then I feel sorry for you. But anyways, so what's been nice is we've had a few guests on the show in the past that haven't really been huge sports guys. And I find myself enjoying those episodes more so than maybe the ones where we're just diving right into, the world of sports or what's prominent in the world of sports. We had a guy on from Cincinnati. His name's Pat. He's the MFing Block podcast. And I mean, one of the most interesting dudes. He's not a huge sports guy. His podcast isn't even centered around that. What he does with his is he just finds people who have an area of expertise that he doesn't know about, and he brings them on and just talks to them about, what they're experts on. So, no, man, I completely agree with you. It's really cool diving into not necessarily just the world of sports, but just connecting and building relationships with other people is a lot of fun, really.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's crazy talking to a lot of these people too, because you find so much about them. Like a lot of these analysts, one guy that you guys have to reach out to is Rob Parker. Like he will for sure do an episode. I'm sorry for my lighting here, but
what are you doing? Turn the lights off in there, Nathan? I mean, what are we doing? Lights
like
out?
A solar eclipse.
Is it bedtime? I mean, come on.
I think it's my blinds. My blinds are active. There we go. Now it's
there. It is.
But no, it's Rob Parker is definitely a cool guy you guys have to talk to. I only got about 10, 15 minutes with him. and he was a really cool guy. Talked as much as we could, and he's a big sports guy too. But he's been on Undisputed before. Does his own newspaper column, so that's one guy you guys reach out to for sure.
So let me ask you this, Nathan. Let me ask you. So obviously you're a high school student, okay? How has high school been since the world's been flipped upside down? How's it been for an average high school student since COVID?
So when COVID hit, it was like school. So you guys aren't. How old are you guys?
I'm 25.
I'm 25 too.
Yeah.
You guys have been out of college for about 2 years now, 3 years.
Yeah. We're old men.
So okay, so that's not bad. It's not bad to be an old man sometimes.
We're wiser.
But no, yeah. What happened was school gets postponed because of COVID. Here we are. We're going to be out for 2 weeks, and everything's just kind of flipped upside down. You're not even doing schoolwork. They're like, we won't worry about it. It's okay. And school comes back in a way where we're online for about 2 months until May, and they tell us, they're like, hey, we're going to send you all this work to do, but none of it's for a real grade, okay? Like, we're not going to grade you on it. We're just going to take your last 3 quarters grade total. So, like, let's say you have a B minus, and then you have an A. Okay, so that rallies up to about a B plus.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, you have a B plus in quarter 4. It's like, well, shit, okay.
Right, what am I doing? What am I doing any of this for?
Yeah, so it was just because they're like, well, if you don't really have internet, there's nothing we can do for you, So then we get back to school in August. School gets postponed for the first week because they're like COVID cases. We just had to, for some idiot reason, we decided to have a county fair right in the middle of a pandemic. So this was funny to me because it was like cases skyrocketed. We were in the orange 1 week, and then fair happens. Here we are 2 weeks later, up in the red. Yeah. It's like, why would we do that? Like that was stupid. And
right.
So we have that, and then school gets postponed for a week. We're back in school, and it's just weird. Everything was kind of unsure when we were going to get closed again, and everything was just like whether or not we were going to go online for a couple weeks or what. And so fall break comes around. We get back from fall break. We're all wearing masks in school and everything. And we come back from fall break, and we go half. So 2 days a week we're in e-learning, or no, 3 days a week we're in e-learning. But here's how it goes. It goes the A through K, I believe, was Mondays and Wednesdays, and the K, or the whatever's after K, J or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, after that, it's all the way through Z, and you can tell I'm only a junior. I barely know my alphabet.
Right. Listen, Nathan, I forget it sometimes too, buddy. It's no sweat on you. I forget it sometimes as well.
But yeah. So the sorry, my dog's barking. But the Z all the way through Z, they're on Tuesday and Thursdays, and then Fridays everyone's e-learning. So it's like, none of this is really that smart because half the kids are friends with each other anyway, so we're all going to go hang out with each other.
They're all going to be in the same. And I think that's what John and I's biggest argument has been, and I'll let John touch on it a little bit, how it's been up here, is, they shut this down, which is fine. That, like, okay, do what you got to do, but, like, they were never really stopping anybody from going to see anybody. So at that point, are we even really doing this for any kind of reason? And John's been a big advocate, I wouldn't say against, but just kind of playing devil's advocate, for what's been going on, at least in our state. There's been a lot of national news media on Gresham Whitmer and what's going on. But John, you wanna touch on that a little bit about what we had to, I guess, go through come quarantine time?
Yeah, so like for all of our events and stuff, they were pretty much halted because of everything with COVID. There's a lot of limitations how many people you can have in your house, gathering wise outside. So we had an event last October actually called the Corona Challenge. We're planning another one this June. June 19th, Tone?
Yep.
Yeah. So
you said June 19th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's crazy because it's my birthday. Yeah.
Wow, there you go.
Wow, it's the Shot Clock Pod's birthday on the Corona Challenge. That's crazy, crazy coincidence. But yeah, so we've had to deal with that and pretty much avoid going over those regulations and those types of those restrictions on how many people you can have in a certain area, how many people you can have indoors. So that's been a big hurdle for us as far as our events have gone, to really overcome that and do it. We've been doing a great job. We've really been trying our best to have these events that we've been having, by abiding by these regulations. But it's definitely been a hurdle, and it would have been way easier without them. But, we're persevering and we're fighting through it. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
So you guys did the Corona Challenge I don't know if you guys saw this, but I think it was May to June, I did a horse tournament, and I did it all through Zoom because I saw that ESPN did a horse tournament. And I was like,
Oh, really?
I was like, that's really cool. Yeah. So I was like, that's really cool to do a horse tournament. So I did it all through Zoom with a bunch of high school kids, a couple of ones that just graduated. I tried getting Trey Moses to do it, but he turned it down. He said he was too busy. But to be honest, I think he was like, man, do I really want to show up all these high school kids?
Right. I mean, come on. At that point, what are we doing here?
So, I was like, he could do it. This could be like the lowest level of his career.
Right. Then he lose. What if he lost? What if he loses that thing? It's like,
yeah. So I was just like, we won't do it. And so I did this horse tournament, had about 8 people in it, 4 sides of the bracket or 4 teams, and then kept advancing in the finale. It was like the guy that is the worst 3-point shooter in the out of all the players, worst 3-point shooter, like 6'4", can't shoot a 3. They went the team that I had on there. It was the boys basketball team. They went to sectionals this year, and one of the things I noticed is he can't shoot very well.
Right.
And somehow he's like automatic in this horse tournament. I was almost thinking, I was like, in sectionals we should have just brought out his horse game.
I know, no, absolutely no kidding. So have you found yourself, Nathan, having to get creative, I guess, when it comes to content right now? So I guess what John and I had to figure out, because we were kind of really firing on all cylinders. We had 2 or 3 golf tournaments up in, before September. We had a Turkey Bowl, which was a big tackle football game between all of us buddies from East Lansing, from Flushing. And then everything really got shut back down. So we really kind of struggled with, finding ways to still be as creative as possible. So has that been a struggle for you? Have you really had to go to some whiteboard sessions and find ways to stay creative?
Well, so here, I'll show you guys real quick, but you can see my little board over there.
Absolutely.
TV, and I got like, right here, I got Wilt Chamberlain over here, LeBron and Wade, alley-oop,
yeah,
all that. So I got like a whole little setup here. But yeah, basically, I went to this board, and one of the things I wanted to do was I did a little show called The Recap. I can pull it up on my phone real quick. So I did a show called The Recap, which was supposed to be a TikTok show, kind of like SportsCenter Snapchat. And you can see it right here. I made this little logo for it. Had about 37 followers, 272 likes within like a month of posting. It was a cool little thing I did. And I was like, I could talk about the sport. This was right in the middle of James Harden's trade. And I was like, okay, let's talk about James Harden getting traded the whole next like 5 episodes, because hell, that's going to bring me
a lot of people are looking to hear about that.
Yeah. So I was like, just talked about that for like 30 seconds to 60 seconds. And would write on my board, make Snapchat show, make TikTok show, make new pod, make a Tonight Show. So I was in fall, I was going to do a Tonight Show called the TikTok Show, or the TikTok with Nathan Shaw, which I was going to interview like TikTok creators. And I was just like thinking of new ways to like make all this content, because with the power of Zoom and StreamYard, which is what you guys are doing, you can do almost anything. You can bring on anyone from anywhere in the world. So right now is the best time to make content, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%, especially with the pandemic. Everyone's at home, and StreamYard, we've been blessed with just finding this software to be able to use. A little plug for StreamYard right now. But yeah, they've been great. And I surprisingly, I guess not really surprising, they've been getting ads like crazy on all the YouTube videos I watch for StreamYard. And it's like, I already got your service, but it's been amazing. Yeah, and it's been great, especially as the pandemic, progresses and continues on at past the year mark here. Doing, virtual type podcasts, live streams, shows, whatever it is really beneficial during this time. So Nathan, let me ask you this. You say you're starting all these shows and everything on TikTok, and I give you a lot of credit for it. That's awesome. Are you just a one-man show, or do you have anyone else helping you out?
So I've been a one-man show since my second episode. So,
Wow.
Wow.
So my second episode came out. I know it was my first episode actually. No, yeah, second. Okay. So I'm sitting on my second episode and I have a co-host. He was 14 years old and we were doing a show together. And about a month later, I interviewed Mikey Levine, which is an NBA videographer, works with Edmund Sumner, Tyrell Terry, Dallas Maverick, Edmund Pacers player. So I talked to all of them. I talked to them through Xbox. I got lucky enough to talk to Edmund and Tyrell and Nico Carrancho, which is a Colorado State alum. And we're on there, and this guy that I had co-hosting with me, he said something really stupid, and it was in Mikey. He's from another race. He's of the Asian race, and he said something really stupid about Asians, and I had to kick him off. So I was like, okay, well, here we are. We're 2 episodes in. Haven't done an interview with it because like the week later I was gonna have him interview Rob Parker with me, and I didn't tell him right away. I didn't tell him like, hey, we're gonna need you off the podcast. But I was just like, I just got to play it off cool because I never kind of ran a business. Like this is honestly a business at some.
Oh, definitely.
Aspect.
Oh, 100%.
And I've never ran anything like that. And being 15 years old at the time, it's like, this is new to me. What do I do? And like, we're in cancel culture. Like this is the peak of cancel culture. So it's just really high at that point to kind of be like, what am I supposed to do? And you don't want to get canceled for something stupid being said.
Exactly.
So you gotta make the right decision. And there we are. I make the right decision. And I've been a one-man show for the past 29 episodes.
Wow, I'll give you a lot of credit for that. And tough decisions have to be made sometimes, especially when you're running a business. You're the man of the show. You're the ringleader, I guess, for lack of a better term. And amidst all this cancel culture stuff, yes, free speech exists, and I believe it still does exist. It seems like those rights and laws are being tested day to day, but we still have to watch what we say. We still have to, be careful about how we articulate ourselves and how we articulate certain situations and certain topics. So it's very important to do that and stay as PR as possible and sometimes it's hard. We got to bite our tongue to, withhold giving away all our political views and everything like that. But it's something that we really, really push here at Gin Pros is that we have to keep politics out of it, and as hard as that might be, sometimes a lot of people have a lot of heartfelt issues that they feel very strongly about. There's a time and a place for those types of discussions. And I think if you can pick and choose what you talk about when you talk about it is very important. It'll definitely express the longevity of your business going forward. Because once we all get big and everyone knows who we are, they're going to remember that. They might even dig up some of our old stuff, what we said, 10 years ago. And this will be 10, 20 years in the future. They'll be like, oh, well, they said that back in 2021. Like this is not okay. So you got to be careful what you say even now, because it could come back to haunt you later on.
See, I'm lucky that I'm only 16 because it's like there's not much stupid stuff you can say at 6 years old besides running naked through the house.
Right. Or naked. I still do that. I still do that at my house. I still run around naked. Okay.
I'm guilty as charged when my parents aren't home. I forget my towel, I forget my clothes. I'm like, oh shoot. I was like, gotta run. And my dog's like running through the house chasing me, covering my nuts.
It's ridiculous. So let me ask you this, Nathan. Now let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get down to the meat and potatoes. Okay, as I talk into my coach's headset right now.
Yeah,
I'm getting ready to call a play for the Dallas Cowboys. Are you going to admit on the podcast, in a Big Ten podcast, okay, because we're Big Ten guys. Listen, we're Midwesterns. Okay, we're the toughest people in the country. All right, everyone knows that. Everyone knows we're the toughest people in the country. Are you going to admit on the podcast right now, Nathan, that you are, in fact, an Indiana Hoosiers fan?
See, the thing is
no, I don't want any.
I'll be honest. I'm not a Hoosiers fan.
Okay, who do you root for on Saturdays?
So usually I root for Michigan U of M.
Oh no!
That's even worse.
That's even worse, Nathan. What? I mean, Nathan. Listen here, Nathan. You could have told me you were the biggest Alabama Crimson Tide fan out there, and I would have accepted that more than what you just told me. Okay, so where does that come from? Why are you a Michigan fan?
So I'm not like with me being from Michigan, the area I'm around or the area I first like explored was where University of Michigan was.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I was like 5 years old. I was like, I don't know anything about college basketball or college football. Heck, I don't even know what a ball is half the time. And it's like, so I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I see a big yellow M in blue, and I'm like, wow. I was like, that looks pretty cool. So then I'm like, ever since then, my dad's grown up a Michigan State fan. He's a Michigan State fan to heart. So he always kind of craps on me a little bit when I'm like, yeah, I want University of Michigan to win. Like I barely know anything about college hoops, which is crazy because in my next like 5 interviews I have hooked up are all college basketball players.
So okay, hold on, Nathan. I think you're still savable. I think we can still salvage your union to the scumbag team down in Ann Arbor. Okay, because that's what they are. They're scumbags. That university needs to burn down 7 times over. Okay, and then they can maybe start a rebuild that's worth a damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So Nathan, let me just okay, I'm just going to give you a little filler, okay? Michigan fans, and I'm not going to include you in this because I don't know if you're really a Michigan fan or you might just be confused as a
I might be a little confused.
Michigan fans are the most delusional human beings you are ever in your life going to meet. You could sit there with a Michigan fan and say 2 + 2, and they're going to tell you it equals 7, okay? They don't know anything, okay? So I think while you're still salvageable, Nathan, you got to take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I want to be looked at as delusional for the rest of my life? Or do I want to be looked at with some type – Nathan, at this point, go be an Indiana Hoosiers fan. I don't care. At this point, go be a Hoosiers fan.
I will say one thing, okay?
I mean –
U of M are in the Sweet 16, okay? Michigan State.
Okay, see?
Got out of the first round.
Okay, God, Nathan's throwing shots now at us.
He might actually be a Michigan fan. I don't think he's confused anymore.
I mean, Nathan.
Hey, it is what it is. Hey, we've had a lot of Michigan fans on the podcast. We had the Michigan Man Cave guys. They're all Michigan fans. They live throughout the country. They've grown up being Michigan fans. A lot of them grew up actually in the Lansing area, which is I find really surprising. But they are in the Sweet 16. They do have, Michigan fans do have some room to talk. Yes, we did beat them in game 2 of the last game of the regular season, but that's more or less irrelevant at this point. So we'll see how they do against Florida State. They had to have tipped off already. So
hopefully they're losing by 1 billion. Hopefully they're down literally by 1 billion points. I don't know if that's even mathematically possible, but if there's $1 billion shot, I hope Florida State hit it, and I hope Michigan's down by 1 billion.
See, so, I know nothing about college hoops like completely. I'm like completely out of it. And I had them go. I was just like, okay, I'm from Michigan. I'm not going to pick Michigan State, obviously, but I'm going to pick University of Michigan. So I picked them going all the way to the last game over Gonzaga.
He says, obviously, I'm not going to pick Michigan State. Like, Nathan, you could. Like,
I could.
What's stopping you?
It wouldn't have been smart, but you could have. I mean, you could.
Okay, so Nathan, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Did you guys have them going all the way to the end?
Hell no. They're horrible.
Okay. They're horrible. That's the answer I need.
But I mean, Nate, I can't believe you just said that.
Here, let me switch gears a little bit and get off the subject before we go down a rabbit hole. Nathan, do you find yourself kind of missing out on a market by not having as much expertise in men's college basketball, or do you feel like you're not missing out on a whole lot?
Man, this is why I'm trying to get involved in interviewing a lot of these college basketball players, because I realize like a lot of these guys, they may have like 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, all the way up to like 36,000 followers, or even like 237,000 followers. They can have that many. And you could DM some, like right now I've got about 3 of them that have about 1,600 plus followers. And I DM'd them. I'm like, hey, I'd love to do an interview with you. My name's Nathan Shaw. I'm a 16-year-old podcaster from Indiana. I'm a big fan of NBA. I have a dream of being an NBA analyst and ESPN commentator. I'd love to interview you. And they're like, okay, why not? I'll do an interview with you. So I've been followed by a Syracuse player, Oklahoma Cowboys player, a Drake player, and then now I'm followed by the one that I just picked up. Oh man, Oral Roberts. And
oh, no kidding.
so yeah,
Wow.
I got followed by a bunch of these guys. Like my last 7 followers have been all college basketball players. And I only have like 607 followers on Instagram, and they've all been following me. So I've been like, wow, I'm like, this made me realize a lot. Like if I could like focus more of my like understanding into college basketball, because I understand a lot about NBA. If I can understand more about college basketball and focus more of a mind shift to that, as well as like split that on NBA as well, like I could really pick up a lot of viewers, because these guys have more of a like you could pick up a ESPN analyst. Like I've interviewed Jordan Schultz. He has 210K followers on Instagram.
Oh, he's huge for ESPN.
Yeah, and I interviewed him, 42 downloads on it. Okay, but you look at that, and a lot of his following is like people are like, okay, who's he going to interview today? Who's he going to what's he going to report today, or what's he going to talk about today on ESPN Gambling? They're not really looking forward to like following him outside of that and being like, I want to know more about Jordan Schultz. But like a lot of these guys that follow these college players, like I want to know more about Jonah Jackson. I want to know more about Justin Levorn from Oral Roberts. Yeah. And they like love to follow these guys. They're like diehard fans of these teams, and that's why they follow them. And they're like, I'd love to hear more about him. So that's what I feel like is more important about college basketball hoops and interviewing a lot of these ESPN analysts right now, is getting to talk to these guys and getting more of their following and more of their fans to listen in.
For sure. Absolutely, man. You know, the more, you know, and so again, John and I have been, you know, we're really impressed with what you did. That's why obviously we wanted to have you on. I had no idea you were only 16. You know,
I didn't know that either.
I mean, you would have had us fooled just based on the content, things like that you're creating. And we're huge proponents of the time is going to happen. You just have to keep putting content out there. It is going to happen. You just have to withstand all the storms and weathering all those to get there. So I think you're doing a great job, man, and keep doing what you're doing. So I have one question for you. And this question may make or break if I ever talk to Nathan Shaw ever again after this podcast. So no pressure there. Okay. When it comes to the pigskin, okay, when it comes to Sundays, the days that John and I, and unfortunately our wallets, look forward to quite often, are you a Colts fan? Like who are you a big football guy? Do you root for any particular team when it comes to college football, NFL? Fill us in a little bit on that.
So I've never been big into football. I used to play football when I was in 2nd grade to 4th grade. And this is really funny.
That's a short career.
So yeah, my career was short-lived. And I played offensive lineman. And, oh my God. I'm just
looking at it right now in the StreamYard, and you should never have been an offensive lineman.
Well, like the thing is I was like this little doughboy. Okay, I was like a doughboy, and they're all putting me on there, and I see the band playing. There was like some band practicing for the high school, and I look over there, and I get distracted half the time. Or when I go to like hold them back from getting the quarterback or getting our running backs or getting our wide receivers and tight ends, I just hold them, and then I'd see the band playing. I'd let go and be like, like amazed by the music. So I've never been a big football guy.
So are you in the band?
No, I'm not. I'm in swimming, which is interesting. I don't play basketball.
You're a big swimmer.
I swim. I'm not big into swimming, but I swim because I've been doing it since 1st grade.
Well, I mean, Nathan, I can sit here and tell you I swim, but I mean, do you like do it competitively? Because I mean, listen, I have a river right out this window. I'd go hop in that river and go for a little dip. But do you do it competitively? Yeah, so I swim the 200 freestyle and the 100 backstroke. Swam in sectionals this year. I swam about a 106 in the backstroke and then a 2 minute and 4 second in the 200 freestyle. So I'm decent, but I can use some work. No idea if that's good or not. John, do you know if that's good?
That sounds pretty good. Are you swimming in an Olympic sized pool?
Yeah, 25 meters.
Okay.
25 by 25.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I mean, listen. Yeah. I mean, you could get my fat ass in the pool, and it would look. I mean, it would look like a beast whale is trying to swim. I mean, it wouldn't look good, but I mean, I could swim. But it sounds like Nathan, is the next Michael Phelps. I mean, if those numbers are that good. So you're not a big pigskin guy. So do you, Petty? I'm not jumping in the river. I'm not gonna hop in the river, Petty. It ain't happening. So Nathan, do you find yourself? So are you just predominantly an NBA guy? Like, is that kind of just your like MLB? Like, I mean, or you are a hoop guy?
So real quick, so I want to show you what I used to look like when I used to swim.
Oh yeah,
No,
you were an offensive lineman. You were a prototypical guard. You were a
Little doughboy.
That was me. That was 7th grade me, and I was way fatter before that. And,
John, he was a guard. He was a guard.
It seems like he's stretched right out, though. I mean, he could be a wideout now.
So I was offensive lineman, and but I was never big into sports. I was always really interested in Jimmy Fallon and Tonight shows and talking to people.
Yeah, for sure.
Interviewing people. And I was never interested in sports at all. And then how I got into the NBA, this is how, like, I've predominantly been NBA for the longest time, since 7th, 8th grade. And NBA 2K18 comes out. My friend and I are playing. I'm like, hey, what's the worst team on 2K? Because I knew nothing about NBA basketball. And he's like, the Lakers, they suck. And I was like, because this was around right when Kobe retired.
Yeah, they were bad.
Yeah, this was Lonzo's a rookie. D'Lo's gone.
They had Randall.
Yeah, they had Randall, Ingram, Clarkson, Kuzma. And I'm there, and I'm like, okay. I was like, I can work with this. So I make a point guard, 6'7" white guy, shoots threes.
Similar to probably your old right now.
Made him look about like me, and did the comb over and everything, and started watching a bunch of NBA basketball. And I noticed, I'm like, okay, these guys are interviewing people. These guys are commentating the game, and I'm like, I used to be a commentary guy. I've always been a commentary guy, actually, but I used to be a commentary guy. How it started out was doing Minecraft videos in 6th grade.
Okay.
So it was so weird.
I started somewhere, dude.
Yeah, so I would make Minecraft videos in 6th grade, and it was Nate Dogg Games was my YouTube channel, all caps. And
we're gonna look that up.
John,
can you plug that into the Nate Dogg? What was it?
Nate Dogg Games with the Games GAMES. So
okay, come on, John, plug him in. Plug him in. Anyways,
I don't know if I can find it. I think you can find it on Google. Honestly, I think if you search up Nate Dogg Games, there's like a merch store that pops up of fake merch I made. And
what?
I'm on it. Okay, I'm on it.
Fake merch that you made. What is this? A Chinese online store name? I mean, what are we doing?
I was a weird, fat, little, chunky 6th grade kid. So awesome. I was let me close my blinds real quick so I can see a little bit better.
So you're a big NBA guy. Obviously, your content is really, really good. We're impressed with the guests you've had on and things like that. So, are you a Pacers guy? Are you a Lakers guy? Who are you like? What's your wheelhouse when it comes to the NBA?
So I'm a huge Lakers guy. When they won the championship this year, because I want to move out to LA and be an ESPN commentator and analyst. So when the Lakers won the championship this year, I was jumping up and down. Yeah. Game 5 comes around. Danny Green misses that wide open 3. Markieff Morris gets the rebound. Had an open opportunity to kick it to Davis for 3.
Right.
Doesn't do it. And I'm like, oh, crap and bricks.
Right.
And I'm like freaking out. And game 6 comes around, so they win by a blowout. And I didn't really have any feelings because I was like, over the years gone by of being an NBA fan, I've become really unbiased on teams. Like this year at the Lakers, obviously I'm rooting they beat the Nets because KD just has too much talent on his team. Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, Kyrie, and James Harden. Like,
I know.
What else do you need? Like,
right?
Heck, give them Thanos or Jesus.
Right.
So it's like, I become very unbiased as time gone on. Like this year especially, I've been really unbiased because I've been doing these interviews. I've just been focusing more on telling it how it is rather than like focusing on one team. Like if I wanted to, I can make a Lakers podcast and call it the Lakers podcast with Nathan Shaw if I wanted to, or the Lake Show Talk or something like that.
Right.
The Great Lake Talk or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
Something cheesy. And but yeah, I've become really unbiased because of this podcast. So I don't really have a favorite team anymore, but it's the Lakers is.
Do you have a favorite player?
LeBron. Because he signed with the Lakers.
Okay. So Nathan's a LeBron guy. Okay, Nathan's a LeBron. I'm not going to hold that against you, Nathan.
No.
I like you a lot. Hopefully we can have you on in future episodes. that whole Michigan thing, John and I are gonna have to talk behind closed doors and see if we can get over that. So you're a big LeBron James guy, okay? Did that start? I mean, where did that just start from 2K18? The Lakers suck ass. You pick them, and then you just dive into it, and you see LeBron James is dunking on cats left and right. I mean, obviously you probably didn't follow him much before that, right? I mean, you probably didn't follow much before that. So was that just more of a recent, upcoming of you being a LeBron fan?
So how my LeBron story starts. 2016 finals, the Warriors blow a 3-1 lead, and I was a big bandwagon when I was little. I didn't know anything about sports, so I was just like, okay, what's my friend rooting for? My friend's like, hey, let's root for Steph Curry.
And you're like, chunky, you're flapping, maybe a little truffle, truffle shuffle, rooting for the Warriors.
Yeah, so I root for the Warriors, and there I am rooting for the Warriors, and they're like, and LeBron completely comes back from his 3-1 lead, blows it. I'm like, man. And I heard everybody like on YouTube calling him the GOAT.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize what GOAT meant. I thought GOAT meant he cried like a goat because he was crying when he won. So I remember like telling my dad, I'm like, he's such a GOAT. And I hated the guy. I was like, this guy sucks. He didn't really suck to me, but I was just like, this guy, right. I hate this guy. He beat the Warriors. I'm like, he's the GOAT. And at least I know 3 years later, I'd be actually considering him in the GOAT conversation because now I know what it means.
There you go.
So it became, he signed with the Lakers. I predicted February 7th at the trade deadline of 2018, 2017, 2018, my 8th grade year. I'm sitting there and I'm like, LeBron's going to the Lakers. And July 1st, I'm at a Logic concert, 3:00 p.m., trade deadline hits or free agent deadline hits, and he's like, Adrian Wojnarowski tweets out, LeBron James going to the Lakers. And I remember at that Logic concert, I'm jumping up and down. I was still a little chubby then, so I was kind of things were flopping around.
So again, maybe a truffle shuffle 2.0.
Yeah, a little truffle shuffle, and LeBron signs the Lakers, and I'm like ecstatic. And ever since then, I became a huge LeBron fan. I was just at Florida this last week, bought this LeBron pop figure. My girlfriend's little brother smashed the box on accident when he stepped on it, so it's out of its box, but that's all right.
There you go.
There you go, man. Is he playing for the Cavs in that one?
No, that's for the Lakers. And then this is a thing I painted one day. Oh shoot, if I can hold it right on the camera. Painted this for when my mom did like a painting day with my girlfriend and I just painted this. I was just like, all right, we'll do that for fun. So Lakers stuff.
Sweet, man.
So let me do this, John, and I'm going to start with you. So we all have our favorite athlete, okay? We all have the guy that, had us fall in love with the sport, regardless of what the sport is. So, John, I'm going to ask you, and then I'll go to Nathan, and then I'll go to myself. Well, maybe me, then Nathan. I don't care where John tosses the ball, after that point. John, who is your GOAT? Like, who is your favorite athlete growing up of any sport that I don't think I've ever asked you this.
Yeah, I don't think you have. So it's actually Jerry Stackhouse from the Detroit Pistons. I always looked up to him. I always tried to get number 42 in basketball, whatever, middle school, high school, whatever. I would always try to get 42 as my number because that was Jerry's number. And me and Paulie went to a game. We sat courtside actually at the Palace, and I was just watching Jerry live. It was crazy because I was a big fan of him before that, and then once that happened and got to see him, that close up, it was completely different. So I think he completely transformed the game of basketball for me and really gave me my true love of basketball. So
that's not Jerry Stackhouse, eh?
Yeah, yes, sir. What about you, Tom? I'll go to you, then you can go to Nathan.
So mine is a 6'2", maybe 6'3", 215-pound quarterback out of Southern Mississippi, Brett Favre. Brett Favre was my guy. He was my favorite athlete to watch growing up. I love the way he played the game, minus the whole drug addiction thing, minus that whole part of the thing. But other than that, he was the way he played the game. He had so much fun doing it. And he was the Iron Man. He was a tough nosed guy. He was my favorite. If I saw Brett Favre in public, between us three and the wall, I'd probably piss myself. I'd probably piss right in my pants. So Brett Favre is hands down my GOAT. And I'm not saying GOAT as like the greatest of all time, but just in my eyes, he was my favorite to watch growing up. And you know, he was a lot of fun. So Nathan, do I even got to ask you? I mean, are you going to tell me LeBron? Is that, do you want me to, you know, I'm going to formally ask you, Nathan, who is it?
We briefly covered it. LeBron is my favorite athlete of all time. Not yet do I really think he's the GOAT compared to Jordan 6 for 6 in the finals. But I will say LeBron does put up a great case for it. And I think at any point you could really make that deciding factor of whether or not he's the greatest of all time. And it's just between one little inch between those two. And so basically I grew up watching LeBron. You know, I grew up watching him come back from that 3-1 lead, even though I hated him then and called him the GOAT because I thought that was
crying.
Yeah, I thought
it was a bad thing.
GOAT. And so in a way too, I'd say it's between LeBron and Kyle Kuzma, because the weird thing about Kuzma, when I first got into the Lakers, it was Kuzma. I remember that December 25th game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, 2018. Kuzma goes off against the Timberwolves, has about 36 points, I think, and like 7 rebounds. He completely went off, and Lonzo Ball dished a lot of pass to him, and I love that guy. And it's funny now because I'm like, gosh, I wish they traded him for a better player. But that's kind of like my favorite player is between LeBron and Kuzma.
So Kuzma's actually from where John and I are. Well, he's about 2 minutes from where John and I are from.
Mm-hmm.
Kuzma's from Flint, which is about, a baseball's throw from Flushing. So, you know, growing up, you know, we heard about Kuzma and this and that. He actually went to Bentley High School, which is right in Flint, for a couple of years before going to a prep school. But yeah, he's a Flint kid. Flint actually, you know, another guy that I think you would have a lot of fun reaching out to is a guy like Monte Morris, the guard for the Nuggets. He's a Flint kid. He's born and raised in Flint, went to Beecher High School right next door to us. JaVale McGee, who's had stints with the Lakers, most recently Cleveland. He just got traded.
Yeah, he got traded to the Nuggets.
Yeah, so he just got traded to the Nuggets. So JaVale McGee, he's a Flint kid. He's a kid that, he's a grown man. I mean, he's a grown adult, but he's a guy from Flint. So yeah, actually, where John and I are from, there's probably 5, 6, 7, big time guys that have came out of the area that we're from.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I love about Michigan is it's like you got Magic Johnson from Michigan State, a lot of these great like historic basketball players from Michigan or that played in Michigan.
Right.
So that's what I love about Michigan.
For sure, man. That's awesome. That's good stuff, man.
Good stuff. So we'll start wrapping it up here. Let's get to the 50-minute mark. I guess, Nathan, is there anything else you want to plug in for our viewers to maybe reach out to you or anything like that, or anything you have going on, some coming up? Anything you want to say before we sign off? Yeah, for
sure. If you're interested in checking anything out, on my personal page, it's Nathan Arshaw or the Shot Clock Pod on Instagram. And that's a lot of where you can find my content. The Shot Clock Pod has a lot more of like the updates on NBA stuff, comparisons, start bench cuts. And then every now and then I'll post links to my episodes. And then on Nathan Arshaw, it's my main post from outside of basketball, and then my interviews. And then recently, just today, I came out with some merch, which you can find in my Linktree. I think it's Linktree, the Shot Clock Pod.
Yeah, I saw that post on your Instagram today. I saw that. Was sweet.
Yeah, so I got hoodies, mask, a bunch of cool stuff. So that's one of the interesting things I just came out with is merch. If you're interested in some new clothing, I really hate doing plugs, but I figure just not shout out my podcast itself, but shout out some interesting things to find.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Well, that's what the opportunity's for, right? We give you that opportunity to do that. And we appreciate you hopping on the podcast and live stream today. We really, that's what we like doing. We like reaching out to other podcasters, live streamers, content creators that do similar stuff as us. And we'll even reach out to people that don't do stuff similar to us. So it's kind of cool to reach out and, collaborate and have a meeting of the minds. It's really a beneficial experience for all parties. So
yeah, for sure.
Really good stuff. All right, guys, I'll wrap it up there. Thank you for tuning into the live stream / podcast. Make sure to check out all of our information on all of our social media. Check out Gin Gaming. Just signed Austin Petty to a 1-year deal with Gin Gaming. So we're very excited for what he's capable of. Big stuff as far as Gin Gaming goes. So look forward to that. Corona Challenge and International Federation of Beer Die Grand Tournament registration forms are now live. Make sure to get registered as soon as possible so you don't miss out on a great opportunity to be a part of a Gin Pros event promoted by the Corona franchise of events, which has been on fire as of late. So we're looking forward to that. But I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'm John J. II with Gin Promotions. Have a great night.